Hey everyone, the mentalist here, and today's topic is Hekatior typings versus MBTI temperaments. A friendly reminder, Hekatior is not designed to confirm your MBTI type. As I mentioned before, I don't endorse MBTI. I only use contextually at catering for the tri-type consulting when needed. However, for the sake of compare and contrast, today I will make an exception and dip into the MBTI pool. Let's be clear, at the end of the day, official MBTI pays lip service to Jung, but in practice is a sum of parts labeling exercise. For example, official MBTI ENTP is more on the lines of E plus N plus T plus P plus EN plus ET plus EP plus NT plus MP plus TP plus INT plus INP plus ETP plus NTP plus ENTP. Essentially all things E, N, T, P, EN, ET, EP, NT, MP, TP, NT, NP, ETP, NTP, and ENTP have in common. Rachful from Personality Cafe was spot on about that. MBTI primarily tracks externalized preference for corporate utility, not deep processing. Most people, in fact, have at least one borderline dichotomy, which makes MBTI's rigidity even shakier. As for the functions, people often throw around in online typology communities, let's be honest, they aren't Jungian. They refer to the grand stack, which cluster letters and repackage dichotomies. For example, Grantian any MP traits. The Grantian model piggybacks on preferences and lacks empirical support, as Renier's detail in The Case Against Type Dynamics. If you enjoy using the framework, that's your prerogative, but do not mix systems or you will pretty much mistype everyone. Now back to Hekatior. Hekatior typings point directly to psychological processing and differentiation. From my observations, people usually have a native temperament proclivity based on their proclises, aka default leanings, in Hekatior. However, environment and life events can nudge someone into developing outside their native trajectory. A person's ego is often bonded with their differentiated dominant psychological function, which typically appears in observable temperament, but not always. Some might even ego bond with a non-differentiated function instead. Several factors such as the unique Enneagram configuration of the individual, trauma, environmental reaction patterns, and more all play a role in shaping ego bonding. Still, in about 70-80% of cases, people ego bond with their dominant psychological function. Whatever is differentiated tends to appear in the observable temperament. Thought again, exceptions exist. MBTI, PJ, and libido dynamics. The PJ axis seems to reflect conscious psyche libido flowing direction more than anything. A few trends. Hekatior irrational leads are typically typed as P in MBTI, and Hekatior rational leads as J, assuming no differentiated auxiliary. When the auxiliary is differentiated and psyche libido standard, the pattern holds. But if someone has a short primary and long auxiliary, the pattern flips. Irrational dominant shows up as J, rational as P. That flip happens rarely, likely occurring only in a small developmental subset, but is worth noting. Development and temperament. Temperament can shape development, and development can, in turn, reshape temperament. Nature is fixed. Hence why Jung stated in an interview that type is nothing static, and it changes during the course of life.
Well, you see, the type is nothing static. It changes in the course of life.
What about system personalities? The system personality website is more like a big five in disguise. It assumes mistakenly that agreeableness equal F and disagreeableness equal T. But agreeableness is about interpersonal worth, not psychological processing. There are several agreeable coaches and therapists with T above F processing, and you can have disagreeable feelers too. So how do we distinguish T versus F on the psychological processing level? T, impersonal and abiotic. F, personal and biotic. That's it. Neuroticism complicates the picture. Neuroticism can distort expression. For instance, a neurotic objective feeler might lose the relational warmness often associated with objective feeling type and get misread as a thinker, especially by surface level MBTI tools. But a deeper look into their processing orientation reveals they are still personal and biotic. That's your hint, still F above T. In closing, overall MBTI appears to track ego or self-image more than processing. That's when the MBTI website itself says only you can decide your best fit type. In my view, most alpha individuals will have self-image that loosely align with their core temperament. But within the online typology community, let's just say, these alignments between temperament and actual psychological processing are very common. Stay tuned for more.